All right, so this just came in the mail, and this is a U-shaped reflector, and it's something I've been wanting for a while now, especially when I'm doing portraits or interviews inside and outside. It's a great way of getting light on your subject's face without it being too harsh. So let's unbox this and let me show you how it works, what it looks like, and it was so fairly priced that I'll link that below. All right, so this is what it looks like outside of the box, and in here we have our tripod, our reflector, and then a couple other things that we could add to it. Now this is what the reflector looks like outside of the bag, and it's pretty easy to open. It's kind of like an umbrella. So you just take the little grip thing off, and then you just get both of your hands, and then right here it has like a couple of locks that you can use, and then you just open it up. Look at that. Look how big that is. It's almost as tall as I am. That thing's massive. Now, like I said, the great thing about this is you can use it to reflect light onto your subject's face. So when you're doing portraits, interviews, whether indoors or outdoors, this allows you to use some extra lighting that you may not have on hand. So you're gonna get this. Let's put this down real quick. And then we got one of these tripods. Now I had ordered another one and it didn't come with a tripod, and it was like a whole different company. That was actually a mistake. So I highly suggest going with the K&F concept brand, because you get a tripod and the reflector and everything else to go along with it. It's the better buy, and I think right now there's a sale going on. So if it's still going on, I highly suggest you get it. So you put this here. And this right here is the last thing that you need to attach to it. So all this is going to do is going to go right here. Put this down right there. Clamp that down. And then this sits on top right here. So we're going to loosen this up as well. And that's just going to fall in once it's loose enough. There you go. All right, and then this lever right here that you see, you just loosen that up and it gives you multiple angles that you could be using. Now, like I said, the reason I got this is for my indoor and outdoor portrait shoots and interviews, but I also want to try this for myself in the office, because there's times where I want to get this side of my face lit up well, but I don't want a light to be hitting it. Since I'm in a room, it's going to be really harsh. And so the great thing about this, it does come with two other reflectors, one of them being like a gold one, and then a black one. And the great thing about the black one is that we can use this to give you negative fill. So again, if you're inside or outside and there's a lot of light and you want to have some shadow, again, this is for my cinematic people, but you want to get some shadows on the side of the face, you want the light to not be hitting that. So having something black that gives you that negative fill is going to give you a really nice shadow on one side, and then the other side will be well lit, giving you that cinematic look that everybody loves in their interview shots. But like I said, I want to go ahead and use this for myself right now. So I'm just going to move this over here. All right. Okay, so now we're going to test it out with me sitting at the desk. So now I want you to see what it looks like when I'm using it and when I'm not using it. As you can see, on the side that I am using it, there's way more lighting on the right side of my face, which again, it's really soft because the light isn't blaring at my face, it's just reflecting on my face. And the other shot, I don't have anything there, so it's a little bit darker. Again, if you're going for that, great. But there's times where I just want some more light on my face. That is why I got this. And like I said, especially when it comes to doing portraits, this thing is gonna come in clutch. All right, so I know that something like this to some people may seem like a little too much. I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, all right, you're doing a little too much. You don't need all that kind of stuff. And you're right, you don't need it. But I remember learning from my photographer and videographer friends in the beginning. And one thing that I would always pay attention to was how they would go above and beyond and just go a little step further than everybody else, paying attention to the details that maybe some other people did not want to pay attention to, but to them, it's what set them apart and made them different from so many other people that these clients were working with. Now, when I first purchased a camera, everybody that I was hanging around with was a photographer. So instinctively, I didn't want to be like everybody else. I wanted to do something different. So when I got my Sony a6500, I did that primarily because I knew that I wanted to do more video than I did photo. So I didn't want a camera that was made for photos. I wanted a hybrid camera that I can practice my photography with, but still invest heavy in video. And the Sony a6500 at the time was the best camera to do that with. So one of the main reasons that I didn't want to be like everyone else around me was because I knew that I wasn't good enough, right? My friends and my cousin were shooting photos way before I ever picked up a camera. And I knew they're going to be far better at photography than I ever was going to be. So I thought how much fun it would be to just document life in video, and in the process just learn it as I went. Needless to say, I didn't think that Instagram or Facebook or any of these platforms was going to start investing in video content. It was just something that instinctively I knew I needed to do. And at the time, it was kind of scary because, Instagram being a heavy photo platform, I knew that I was competing with all these other people who knew their camera specs or had way more expensive and better cameras than I did. So I knew that I was not going to be able to compete with them, which is one of the reasons why I chose video over photo. Now, this wasn't the only time that I had to pivot. Once people started posting more videos on Instagram and getting more views that way, and they started realizing that this was a strategy that can be used, I ended up realizing, okay, I can't just be posting the same videos that I'm posting, which is when I decided to start investing into drones. Now, at the time, the drone that I had was the DJI Phantom 3, and then I upgraded, we can say, to the DJI Air. And those drones didn't have the best camera qualities. It was very, very basic, and especially for the time, it was okay, but it was nothing near like what we had now. But I did know that I had to start posting drone photos and drone videos because almost nobody was doing that at the time here in Austin. And so once people started gravitating to video, I had to find another way to get people's attention. And that's when drones came into my world. Now, like I said in yesterday's episode, I started doing a lot of my drone work during the pandemic because I ended up investing in the Mavic Air 2S. And so people were inside, not wanting to go out and being scared. And so what I decided to do was the opposite. I was going out almost every single morning to capture the sunrise and capture the beautiful things that were around Austin. Even though things were closed, the city was still beautiful. The skyline was there, the plants were there, everything was there. And so what I started doing was making a choice that nobody else was making, which is going out and getting more content, specifically with drones. And once my account started growing and people started hiring me, it began to get harder for me to do that. But luckily, I had batched so many things that I was able to post 3 times a day for months and months on end, which is kind of crazy thinking about it now. So the lesson that's just been resonating with me today has been how being different has set me apart from so many other people, and how that has helped my business so much. Because there's people who can do photography, but not videography. There's people who do videography, but not photography. There's people who do photos and videos, but don't even want to touch a drone. And so the fact that I'm able to do photo, video, drones, I also do like 360s and all that kind of stuff, being able to offer things to my client that they could bundle together rather than having to hire one person here, one person there, another person over there, and worry about paying all these different people and these people being on time and all that kind of stuff. I consolidated all that into one person, one business. And the great thing was they knew what they could expect, right? They knew the quality that I was putting out. So whether they were getting a photo, whether they were getting a video, whether they're getting drone content, whatever it was, the quality was so good that they just kept coming back. So this is something that you need to start thinking about in your business, or even thinking about in your life right now. Like, what are habits that you have begun to be stale in? Like, what are things that used to set you apart, that you used to enjoy, and because the mundane things of life, or just maybe losing the spark or not having that passion right now, has kind of snuffed that out? Like, what is something that before, when you were a kid or when you were with your peers or whatever it was, what was the thing that set you apart? What was the thing that made you different? What was the thing that in and of yourself you knew, hey, they can do all this other stuff, but they don't have this, they can't touch this? Again, for me, I think one of the things that sets me apart overall as a person is just my tenacity and my drive. I don't think there's anybody out there who has the motivation and the drive that I do, unless you're someone like David Goggins or Jocko Willink or one of those guys. But for me, waking up every morning, getting to do what I do, even before I was a videographer, even before, I had moved to Austin, for me, getting up every day, going to the gym and outworking the competition was something that was ingrained in who I am. I think I learned that from my grandfather and from, some other men that I saw growing up. But I had to make that my own. Like, what was the thing that I was willing to lose sleep over? What was the thing that I was so passionate about that when I was focused, days flew by? And for me, yeah, it was coffee and all that kind of stuff. But once I got the camera bug and I was just so into that, there'd be days where I wouldn't even sleep. There'd be days where I would just be editing and learning all this stuff for hours on end. Again, thank you to my wife for putting up with me at those times, because I was spending more time on my laptop learning that than I was with her. And so me now, looking at me then and studying my business now, one of the things I want to start implementing are the things that make me different. Like I said before, yes, it is I can offer so many things that other people can't. But I know that one of the things that sets me apart from so many other people is my relationship with the owner, my relationship with the person on the other side. Because to me, it isn't just about giving you good content. It's about making you the person that you want to become as well. And so sometimes my clients will call me out of the blue, or our meetings go a little long, not because they're asking technical questions about cameras and about lighting and all that kind of stuff, but because I care enough to ask them how their day is going, to be invested in their life. Because at the end of the day, when I'm talking to you, especially if we're doing something over Zoom or whatever it is, like, I can see your facial reactions. I could see how you feel. Or if we're on the phone, I could hear the tone of your voice. And so it's also my job to make you believe in yourself, to help you get somewhere where maybe you didn't even think you could go as a business owner. And yes, I do that through content. But another way that I do that with a lot of my clients is through having conversations, to understanding their psychology, through asking questions that they may never have been asked in order to get an answer that they've been looking for maybe their entire lives. You see, so many people ask, how do you get business? And how do you grow your business? And how do you do this? And how do you do that? They think it all has to do with posting on social media or doing paid marketing and all this kind of stuff. Yes, that gets you noticed. That will get people maybe emailing you or texting you or hitting you up on Instagram. But keeping clients, having people spread your name through word of mouth, that is done by building relationships and being an honest, truthful, and caring person. And to me, that is really hard to find. And I know that because I've worked with other videographers and photographers. I've worked with other creatives. I see them online. I know what they talk and what they think. And so I know where I beat them. And so sure, they may make better videos than me, make better photos than me, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, what keeps clients coming back, it's you. How are you treating the client? You see, because if you make it come off as just a transactional relationship, your client feels that right away. And so then they just view you as a transaction. Oh yeah, when we need a videographer, oh, hit him up. Oh, he's not available. Get this guy. But you'll be a second, third, fourth, fifth thought. But when you have a really good relationship, when you get onto the shoot and you get onto the property or whatever you're filming at the time, and your impact makes a difference, that's something that nobody else can bring to the table. And that's one of the things that I like to hang my hat on. I know that when you hire me and we interact together, you're going to have a great experience just by the energy that I'm bringing to the shoot. And I know for a fact, not many other videographers can do that. Which is why I don't see myself as a videographer anymore. Yes, I'm a video business owner. Yes, I'm a video marketing agency owner, whatever you want to call it. But that's not just what I am. When somebody signs a contract with us, I feel like it's also my obligation to make you a better person than when I found you, right? And to me, it looks like investing time and energy and conversation, right? When I'm on the shoot and something's going on and you may be freaking out or something's going on, I want to make sure to bring peace to the situation, to calm the situation, to make you believe that everything's going to work out fine. Even though I may not have the power to do that, I know that our thoughts do. I know that our minds have the power to bring things to life. And so if you're freaking out on a shoot because maybe something didn't show up on time or something's happening, and then I add to that, or I'm in a bad mood or whatever it is, of course you're not going to want to bring me back. Or of course, I'm not going to be the first person you think when you think about hiring somebody, because you may have had a better experience with someone else. So for me, I want to make sure that your experience with me is like no other. And that's how people keep coming back. And so if you're a entrepreneur, if you're looking to start a business, if you are trying to get clients and don't know what to do, it may have to do with a lot of your personality. It may have to do with who you are as a person, the way you speak, the way you show up, the way you act on a shoot. All those things are a make or break for a lot of people. And you think to yourself, well, this is just how I am, or this is how I work. Well, then change that. You got to be a better person if you want to work with better people, especially if you want to be in the luxury space. You think they have time for negativity? You think they have time for people showing up late or for, looking like a mess or whatever it is? No. They care about quality. They care about luxury. So if you want to get paid and paid well for what you do, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. But the twist is the difference and the uniqueness you bring to every single person you meet, to every single event that you shoot. If you're the person that is the outlier, then you're the one that's going to be noticed. And guess what? Those clients are going to refer you to other people, and they're going to want to hire you back. To me, I think that's one of the things that has allowed us to become a well-established business without really running any ads. Like, we get so many clients just through my social media, just through our Instagram. And to me, sometimes it's wild because I see a lot of other artists struggling. And they're like, well, do I need a cold call? Do I need to, go in and talk to people? Do I need to shake hands? Do I need to post flyers? Do I need to do this? I'm like, sure, you could do all that. And all those things work. It depends where you're at, what your demographic is, what you're going after, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if people hire you and you are not a good experience to work with, then what makes you think they're going to hire you again? What makes you think that they're going to want to suggest you to a friend or to another business owner? That's the thing you need to realize as well. Business owners know other business owners. So if you want to work with more businesses, build relationships with business owners. If you go to the gym, if you go to coffee shops, if you go to the library, if you're going out on runs, if you're going to go to a restaurant or to a bar or whatever it is, go to the places where the people that you want to work with hang out. Take your camera with you. Capture content while you're there. I find it funny. I meet creators who are like, oh, well, I'm not going to create unless I get paid. But then how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be noticed? One of the main ways that I was able to grow my business and get noticed on social media was by visiting places and capturing content as if they hired me. Because one, when they saw the content, they wanted to collab. And since we collab, people think, oh, look who they worked with. That's dope content. Let's reach out to him. Boom. Got a client many times off of that. Or people just see me filming. They see my camera. They see me with the drone. They think that it's odd. They think that it's different. They think that it's unique. Why is this guy doing all this? They ask questions. I give them a card. They follow me on Instagram. And then there you go. More business that way. I think so many of you, and including myself in early on, are afraid to talk to people, are afraid to invest in people, are afraid to build relationships for whatever reason. Whatever your reason is, I'm sure it's a valid one. But you need to get rid of excuses. You need to stop complaining. You need to stop thinking that it's the world against you and you're the only one that can't make it work. Because I look at myself as someone who had almost no education. I've never picked up a camera before I had one. I didn't know anything that I was doing. Didn't know how to run a business, didn't know how to be an entrepreneur, didn't really know how to talk to people. Like, the way that I speak now is not the way that I spoke then, right? I had way more of an accent then and all this other stuff. And so I was so insecure when I was talking to people. I didn't feel like I was worthy to be in a lot of the rooms that I was in. But I knew that the content that I was creating could outshine and outperform my bad speech or whatever it was at the time, right? And so bringing that uniqueness, bringing that thing that makes you different is what's going to help you in your business. Why? Because there's so many industries and so many niches that you can choose from. So just choose one, see what everybody else is doing, and then do the opposite. Or look at what everybody else is doing and ask yourself, How would I do that different? How would I put my own spin in this? Maybe it's by color grades. Maybe it's through transitions. Maybe it's framing. Maybe it's focal length. This is where your knowledge in your gear comes in. Your client doesn't know any of that. Your client just knows that they want a really cool video or some really cool photos. It's up to you to be creative because they're putting their trust in you. To them, you're the expert. To them, they hire you so that you can solve their problems, which is the creative part of it. So if you are afraid to engage with people and build relationships with business owners and people around your town and city and all this kind of stuff, then I don't think you would ever want to start your own business or even be a videographer or content creator, because part of this job is being a personable person, is smiling, shaking hands. You know, there's so many times that I've had people come up to me in public with my family or with when I'm with by myself or maybe at a coffee shop or whatever, and they strike up a conversation. And I just talk to them like a normal person. I ask them questions because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that anybody that I meet has a good experience with me. One, because I'm a good person. That's just what I want to do. But the other reason is you never know if this person knows a business owner. You never know if this person has a business. So if you come off as a really dope person to have a conversation with or whatever it is, and they follow you on Instagram and they see your work and they're like, oh, hey, I got this or I got that. Can you do this and can you do that for me? Sure. Boom. There you go. Shake hands and get paid. I think sometimes we make it hard for ourselves, and you don't need to do that. What you need to do is find out who you are. And I think this is, again, I go back to so much of this is psychological. We tend to make it about gear. We tend to make it about, right? I just showed you this reflector. Yo, look how dope this is and look how I'm using it and, you know, look at the little details. But the details is because I know that how many people are going to show up to a set with this who do what I do or in my industry? Not many. So if I bust this out and they see like, oh, look at this setup. Other people don't do this setup. Let's hire him because his setup is better than the other people we work with, right? Or the quality, or again, drones, whatever it is. I have always found a way to be maybe this much different, that much different, that much different from anybody else. Whatever it is, find it. Find your voice. Find what you are unique as. And then double down on that. You know, and I'll say this much. This is something that prevented me from growing on social media, because once I started getting followers and once, you know, I started growing and all that kind of stuff, I began to chase trends. I began to see what other people were doing, and I wanted to do the same thing because I was chasing views and followers and likes and shares. We all do that. We all get there, right? We all get a little satisfaction in the place that we're at, but then we see what other people are doing, right? The grass is always greener. We see what they're doing and think, oh, well, I can do that better, and I'm going to do it exactly the same, and you're just a knockoff of somebody else. You need to build your own brand. You need to find your own voice because everybody else is taken. Don't be like everybody else. Be you. You are unique. You're interesting. You are who you are. There's nobody else like you. So why do you want to be like everybody else, right? That doesn't just apply in the content creator world or whatever it is. It applies to you in everyday life. If you're looking for a spouse, if you're trying to make friends, if you're trying to lose weight, whatever your journey is, if you do it like everybody else, then you more than likely will end up like everybody else, right? But if you are unique, if you are different, the people who are meant for you are going to find you, and you're going to find them, and that's going to be your tribe. And so just double down on that. Again, this is something that I'm doing with this video series, and hopefully I continue to do this because this is where I find my passion for photography and videography, is how can I do it different? How can I do it like my way? How can I not be like someone else? What is somebody bringing to the table, and how can I bring the opposite thing and outshine them? Or be someone who people talk about in the room. How do I steal the show? Those are the things that you need to be thinking in your mind every single day, whether it's the way you dress, the way you talk, the things that you listen to, the kind of art that you create, whatever that little difference is, find it, double down on it, and learn how to make it better. Because by doing that, it's going to make you a better person, and it's going to make your business and your creativity that much better. And if you don't know, in the next 40 days, I will be 40 years old. And so what I'm trying to do is just unload everything that I've had in my brain from 30 to now, because I know I'm forgetful. I know that I'm going to repeat the same mistakes that I did in the past and forget about some of the successes and achievements that I had in the past. And so what I want to do is use these videos as a way to encourage and help other artists and creatives and entrepreneurs out there grow in their business and grow in their confidence and all that kind of stuff. But I want to use this to document myself. Like, yo, you're leaving your 30s. You're no longer going to be 30, which is crazy. You're entering your 40s. That's going to be a whole new experience. And I hope that whatever I've learned in my 30s is going to catapult me to a whole different place in my 40s. And so whatever knowledge and whatever wisdom and whatever little things that I've gained in the last 10 years, I want to benefit from them, and I want you to benefit from them. Sometimes these things are hard to hear because we're not told these things often. But the reality is, if you want to be, living the lifestyle that you want to live, if you want to be in the top 1, top 10, whatever percent, if you want to be better than you were yesterday, it's not going to happen by being the same day in and day out. You need to learn how to evolve. You need to learn how to find yourself a lot more and to be satisfied with who you are. To look in the mirror and be happy and be confident with the person who's staring back. But because before you do any of that, if you are, like I said, if you're getting the followers, getting the likes and all this kind of stuff, but that insecurity remains, no amount of likes, no amount of followers, no amount of shares, no amount of money is going to make you happy. Because at the end of the day, before you have all of that stuff, if you're able to be satisfied and content in who you are, all those things are just a bonus. So don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be unique. Don't be afraid to invest in the little things that make your business that much better. Because you know what? That much better over time, day in, day out, it's going to stack up against everybody else who's against you. So until tomorrow, catch you on the flip side. Peace out.